Well, let's go ahead and get started here. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this week for our long coffee break. My name is Scott Beach. I am a sales engineer here at Long that covers mostly Daikin VRV. Today, we are super excited about what we have coming up that involves with Daikin VRV. We're going to go over some advancements and controls for the next generation of Daikin VRV. And we have us today is Tony Faxon, who is our local Daikin representative. Tony, tell us what you got for us, man.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tony Faxon. I work with Daikin North America. I appreciate your time this morning for this short coffee break. I'd like to briefly discuss some of the new advancements we have to offer with our Daikin VRV technology. Throughout the last 15 years that I have sold variable refrigerant systems here in the US, I've continued to be impressed with how fast the manufacturers push the advancements in the technology. This drive becomes the solutions of tomorrow. The bulk of my discussion today revolves around controls. The controls portion of the HVAC industry and the owner's interface with their equipment is often very project specific. The US market has never been accustomed to a kind of one-size-fits-all approach. So to address the varying needs of our customers, let's take a look at some of the newer members of the family of Daikin controllers. Now, for many years, the navigation controller, which you see here in the middle, which was specifically designed for the US market, has been kind of the go-to controller for the majority of Daikin VRV systems. But we are now evolving to provide more customizable solutions for the many different applications we see. And this morning, I'd like to briefly show you these options. The first I'd like to talk about is the Madoka Controller. The Madoka Controller has finally been brought to the US. This controller has been extremely popular throughout Europe and even won the Red Dot Design Award in 2018. It has a round black display against a white backdrop. There's 3 configurable display options. You've got text, icon, and there's a popular simple display with 3 temperature degree options up and down, but doesn't show room set point or temperature. An LED shading system around the display called the Daikin Eye is standard, and it can glow red, blue, or green, showing the operational status. This option can also be dimmed or turned off if not desired. A multi-language unit that supports both Fahrenheit and Celsius, this controller has an easy commissioning app that customers like for setting up the controller as well. The Madoka has all your basic controls as well as error code notification. It's not a scheduling controller, but as commercial projects always use the ITM front end for scheduling, customers like the Madoka for its simplification. This works well in office space, hotels, schools, some types of multifamily. It has advanced setback logic, set point range limitation if desired. The controller's installation is very simple and even includes a gang box mounting plate. Due to the limited amount of time I have, I can't go through every slide in detail, but Long informs me that you'll be able to get a copy of this presentation. But when compared with the competitors' options, the Madoka truly shines, not only with its custom look and its feel, but with the flexibility of its options and the features it affords. The next controller I'd like to introduce to you is the Daikin One+. The Daikin One+ controller was originally targeted after the popularity of the Nest thermostat. This controller was first available with Daikin residential unitary equipment and then moved into the mini and the multi-split arena. Its growing popularity has opened the door to VRV systems. Now with the use of a translation adapter, it can speak the D3 language of Daikin VRV. So this premium controller has a high resolution touchscreen. Here you can see the menu items below the screen. It also has a rotary dial to the right of the screen. Like the Madoka, the One+ has an LED shadow that glows to represent the mode it's in. So you've got red for heating, blue for cooling, etc. It also has an easy to use setup wizard for easy commissioning. It connects to Wi-Fi and it works with the Daikin One app for remote controlling. All the Daikin software upgrades are going to be over the air, which simplifies updating for the end user. The controller not only has a room temperature sensor, but also has a humidity sensor built in. It can connect to an optional IAQ sensor as well that would go in the ductwork, and that would sense air quality. which opens up for further options, say UV or specialized filtration, humidification, or auxiliary fresh air systems. The One+ works with Amazon and Google Assistant if the tenant wants to use voice control. This control option allows for auxiliary heat, and it can be set up for auxiliary primary heat, auxiliary secondary heat, or even emergency backup heat. This is a scheduling thermostat that can control all the normal modes, as well as having an overcool logic for dehumidification. You've got single and dual set points, fan and louver control, error code display with description, and adjustable set point differentials. The One+, one of the things you got to look at with the One+ is it's a primary only controller. So you cannot use a second controller on the same fan coil or group of fan coils. When used with a commercial application where the ITM front end is used, the One+ will do all of the controlling and the ITM will monitor only. Similarly, if connecting via BACnet, LawnWorks, or Modbus, the building front end would only be able to monitor. So this would work well in a multifamily application where the tenants want to control their own systems, but then the ITM could monitor for problems or alarms. Again, you'll find that when compared with the competitors, there's really no equal to the Daikin One controller. The next innovation I wish to discuss is the Adaptive Touch Controller, or the ATC as it's commonly called. The ATC is currently estimated to come to the US market in first quarter 2021. It's a premium controller that would typically be used in commercial applications where more features are desired. There are going to be 4 models of this controller, which will determine what sensors the end user wants. Temperature, humidity, occupancy, and CO2 sensors are all available. It has a clean looking touchscreen with scheduling, single and dual set points, auto changeover with a guard timer, all the normal controls you would expect. This controller can run auxiliary heat as primary, as secondary, as alternative, or emergency. It also has built-in I/O contacts that allow for controlling alternate equipment, such as using its CO2 sensor to control a fresh air intake system that brings more air through the ductwork if high CO2 levels rise. You could use its humidity sensor to control a humidifier or other like type systems. The Adaptive Touch Controller has direct BACnet capability. The LED screen background color is going to reflect the operational status, similar to the other 2 controllers we discussed. With all the auxiliary heating options, projects with ultra low ambient temperatures, similar to the, say, -30 that we can see in mountain applications, become really simple to control. Occupancy sensor logic is also built in to increase utility savings for the owner, while advanced CO2 control is simplified with the ATC. So here again, you can see when you compare it to other competitors' options, the differences are very impressive. Before we get too close to the end, I want to discuss 2 optional adapters Daikin has to provide additional benefits to the controllers I've discussed. The first of the 2 specialized adapters is the DKN Cloud Wi-Fi adapter. The main purpose for this adapter is to daisy chain it to a second controller to allow for cloud connection. You could control a fan coil standard controller via either iOS or an Android app. You could use Alexa or Google Home, or you could connect to a third party or even hotel automation. You could even forego the standard controller and just use the adapter to have a complete remote system. This adapter also allows for the use of Modbus as an option. The second adapter I want to mention is the DKN Plus Interface. The original purpose behind this interface was to allow for a third-party thermostat to be used with inverter technology equipment. So the inverter system, such as is found in mini and multi-splits and in VRF systems, uses special control algorithms that modulate the electronic expansion valves. So if you look at Daikin VRV, those valves have 2,000 steps of capacity control. And this is at the heart of why these systems are so efficient. When the other manufacturers allowed the use of, say, third-party thermostats to work with their VRF systems, one of the things that happened is it instantly made the electronic expansion valve go to either fully open or fully closed. So you lost significant efficiency. So with the DKN Plus interface, Daikin has built into the interface the software to take that on-off signal and convert it back to a modulating signal for the expansion valve. In addition to this feature, the interface can communicate to BACnet, Modbus. It can run a secondary auxiliary heat. And again, commissioning is very easy with a Bluetooth app. Now, to summarize the controls options, I cannot stress enough the importance of working directly with the building owner to see what control features are important to them, and thus what components in the Daikin family of products can provide the right solution for their needs. As we find many applications for VRV technology differ in the features the customers are looking for, Daikin is here to provide the right control solution for each specific project. While I still have a few minutes left, I'd like to mention a new advancement in the VRF family, the new multi-port flex boxes. The Flex Series branch selector box. Since the first system that had the ability to simultaneously heat and cool was invented by Daikin back in the early 90s, heat recovery has grown to be a significant portion of the VRF market, and it's dominant in the United States. The original BS boxes have grown in technological steps from simple reversing valves in a box to a little bit more noisy solenoid valve combination, and then nowadays to the quieter combination of electronic expansion valves. You've got single port, you've got multi-port, and we're now seeing the next step in that evolution. Daikin's new Flex multi-port boxes. Now, one of the reasons VRF has been so popular around the world over the last 38 years is how little space it takes up when compared to other systems. So the first notable difference in this new revision is the reduction in both height and in required ceiling space. So the previous BS boxes, they were quite small as they were, just under 12 inches, but it's important to note that they always required a 4-inch of open space above and below the installation. So you needed a 20-inch cavity. Now with newer fan coils that only require about 9 inches or 12 inches of ceiling space, that 20-inch cavity was becoming an issue. So the new multi-port boxes are only 9.5 inches tall, and they have a 0 clearance for service, which is specific or a significant space savings. The main new feature of these boxes is the pass-through piping. Instead of having to wire off of a piping main to each box, as you can see here, and having to have a wide hallway, you simply install them in series like you see here. They can pass through from either side. They can pass through left and through, from right and pass through. So direction is not a factor when installing these. The reason the surface clearance on top is no longer required is due to a service window that's designed on 3 sides of the boxes that you can see right here, and back here, so that you can get into the box to service the motor heads. Also, on the new 4-port box, which is one of the most common used, the electrical control box that you see here, which also contains the high voltage connection, obviously with US code, it's going to require 3 feet in front of it, can be moved from side to side. So it can go to left side, go to right side, and go to the back. This helps with installation and code clearances. As with all Daikin branch selector boxes, these are hermetically sealed, fully insulated. So there's no internal condensation, and there's no drain piping system required to be installed by the contractor, no secondary drain pan, all of that. Unfortunately, other manufacturers still require that drain system. Another benefit is that these boxes allow for an expandable design. The system can be installed in phases and then expanded. That's about the end of my time, so I want to thank you for your time today, and I'll go back to you, Scott.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony. We were super excited about this new technology that Daikin North America is providing for our VRV systems. I want to thank you so much, everybody, for taking your time to join us today. Thank you so much, everybody, and please make sure to check in next week as Tyler Martin will be going over KMC Commander BAS interface. Thank you. Have a good rest of your week and a good weekend.